Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under framework design and development, I do cover from JUnit framework to TestNG, and then I do cover page object model and Maven. Okay, and then traditional frameworks like data driven. Okay, and then keyword and hybrid frameworks. Okay, finally I will cover Jenkins, and then finally project. Okay, these are the modules we do cover under our course. Okay, uh, coming to today's topic. STLC, software testing lifecycle under manual testing. Okay, as I said, we start with manual testing. Under manual testing, okay, we are discussing about STLC, software testing lifecycle. So we heard about STLC, software development lifecycle. Why we have STLC? See, to develop a software, we need a software development lifecycle, and we need a processes. Okay, to develop any kind of software. Similarly, for testing also, we do follow STLC. Okay, software testing lifecycle. How many phases are there in a software testing lifecycle? Software testing lifecycle is a sequence of different activities performed by the testing team. Okay, why we need to follow this sequence of activities? To ensure the quality of the software or product, we have to follow this sequence of different activities. Sequence of different activities. Sequence of different activities. Okay, what are those activities? Okay, STLC is again an integral part of STLC only. Okay, STLC is part of STLC only, but STLC deals with the especially for testing. Since we are going to learn testing, we have to focus more on STLC. STLC also starts as soon as the requirements are defined. Okay, once we get SRD, software requirement document, or a SRS, system requirement specification document. Okay, we immediately okay, start with the testing activities. Okay, STLC provides basically step-by-step approach to ensure quality software. In the early stages of STLC, what we do, tester can analyze and define the scope of the testing and entry and exit criteria, and also design the test cases. So why we need to define all this thing in the early stages of STLC? Basically helps to reduce the test cycle. Okay, as soon as the development starts, the testers should be ready with the test cases and start with the execution. Okay, hence whenever SDLC starts, at the same time testers also start their testing activities as part of software testing lifecycle. Okay, as discussed again. Okay, let me open. Okay. Yeah. These are the various phases of software testing lifecycle: requirement analysis, test planning, and then tester design, environment setup, test execution, and test closure. Okay. See, STLC also has a different phases. Okay, but these are not mandatory. See, if you are working on some XYZ okay client, it's not mandatory that they have all these phases. They may have or they may not have. For example, environment setup is there. Environment setup is part of a test designing itself. They don't have a special phase called environment setup. Then we can able to see only 5 phases. Okay, so these phases are different from project to project, and depending on the nature of the software or product which we are developing, and also depending on the time and resources allocated for the testing. Okay, for example, few projects are there, testing team not at all won't be there. Entire development team itself also involved in testing activities. Okay, then we don't have first of all, you can't see STLC itself over there. Okay, if you have, but that's not a good practice. That's not at all a good practice. Every project should be tested by the independent validation and verification team called a testing team. Okay, so STLC always starts with the requirement analysis and then test planning, test case designing, test environment setup, test execution, defect reporting. There's another phase also here in between test execution and a test closure. That is all about defect reporting and then test closure. Okay. So what are the major phases of STLC? First one is the requirement analysis, where whenever we have a SRD document ready and shared with the stakeholders, whenever a SRD or FRS document, what is SRD? Software requirement document or a system specification document. Okay, SRD or a SRS document is ready and shared with stakeholders. That testing team basically starts high level analysis. Okay, starts high level analysis. Then the first phase is actually a requirement analysis. Second phase, test planning. Yeah, under test planning, testing team plans the strategy and approach. Plans means schedule. Schedule means what is the start date, what is the end date. For each and every activity is defined by the testing team during the test plan. Okay, and they also define the strategy and approach to test. Okay, so schedule and strategy and approach to test is defined during the test planning phase. Okay, I'm going to show you the real template of test plan. This is actually I just prepared in one of the organization, but this is for automation plan. No, right? Test automation plan. Whenever you start automation testing, at that time we also prepare a plan for automation projects. Okay, but similarly, both manual testing and automation testing plan is almost the same. But automation plan has additional sections that deals with the automation testing. That's all. Okay. Yeah. Come here. These are the various sections we can see in a test plan, starting with purpose and objective, where we define a testing scope and objectives, entry criteria and exit criteria. Test scope. Scope is very, very important. As I told you, we define the scope of the testing. What are the items you are going to test and what are the items you are not going to test? That should be defined under a testing scope, test scope. And test approach, where we describe the test approach and framework design and development approach. But the framework design and development, it is very specifically for automation testing. For manual testing, we don't have. Okay. And a test definition. Okay, we are going to define the testing here, test functionality and test case definition, where we are going to define the testing design, test data, and remaining 5.4, 5.5, and 5.6. All three are related to automation testing, because we need to develop test scripts, right? And we also use a tools, and we also follow naming conventions, and we also need to maintain a lot of object repository things. Okay, and we also maintain a test results and reporting. So 5.4, 5.5, and 5.6. All these are actually, yeah, hope you can be able to see now. Yeah, 5.4 and 5.5 and 5.6 that deals with the automation testing exclusively. Okay, are guys following? Let me know if you have any questions. Apurva, Bharat, Jyotsna, Nilima, Swapna. Yeah. No? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then a test preparation specification. Okay, while preparing a test cases, what are the things we need to take care? Test environment is must. Okay. As I told you, Let me explain. There are 4 environments should be there. If you take any project, there are 4 environments. First one is a dev environment, and then QA, a testing. Okay, then we have a pre-production. Then finally we are going to have a production project. If it is a small project, we have only 3. We have only 3 projects. Okay, there won't be any pre-production. There won't be any pre-production for small scale applications. Okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, dev environment where development takes place. Development team works on their respective modules and develop the code and use a Git repository or some SVN, okay, version control system to check in and check out the code and develop their own modules. Okay, so that is all about the development environment where they have an access to the application also. Whenever they check in and check out the code, they also conduct a unit testing. Unit testing means what? Code testing. Code testing performed by the developer. That comes under a dev environment. Once development is freeze, I mean the respective modules are completed in the current release, they release they release in the sense nothing actually. They create the executable files and share the executable files to the configuration team or build team. What build team or configuration team does, they deploy those executable files and jar files in a QA environment. Okay. Once they deploy the QA environment, we are able to see the latest changes in the application. Then we QA team as a testing team, we start our testing activities. Okay. After testing thoroughly all the applications, I mean all the modules and changes, and if there are any defects, we raise the defects. Okay. Then this cycle keep on going until unless the application is stable, all the defects are closed. Once all the defects are closed, we push the code to the pre-production environment where a client and a operations team have an access. They also carry certain set of testing types like user acceptance testing. Okay, in pre-production, who will involve? Who will involve in pre-production? Okay, basically, the guy is called operations team and IT team from a client and also testing team from a vendor. Okay, so those people will involve here in pre-production and test the application. Still, if there are any defects, they try to close before going to push the code to the production. Once the production, I mean the code is stable and finally, we tested the entire product thoroughly, then we push the code to the production. Push in the sense nothing. We deploy the jar files and executable files in the production environment. That's all. Okay. So these are the various environments you can see. Then in test plan, we, as I said, we plan the strategy and approach, right? Under this here, you can see test environment. Okay. So testing team also involves sometimes to deploy these jar files and var files or executable files. Okay. And then coming to roles and responsibilities. Okay, we ideally have a follow on-site offshore model. Most of the projects follow the same model. Okay, on-site offshore model. On-site, if you have 2 people, offshore we have 10 people. Okay, these 2 people, they directly interact with the vendor. That means, they directly interact with the client. Okay, they basically business the BDS, business development managers. They call you. We used to call actually client engagement managers. Okay, they deal with the clients directly. Okay, they involve in sales also. At the same time, they involve in a delivery also. Okay, delivery means they don't do any kind of testing at all. Okay, they simply act as a communication channel between the client and the vendor. Okay, whatever the work we are doing from India, they basically report that work to the client. At the same time, whatever the improvements required from the client end, okay, he will convey those information to the team who are working from the offshore. That means India. Okay. So these are roles and responsibilities of various team members, and then training requirements and automation test preparation and all. Then finally, test management. How we are going to manage our test. Okay. Assumption, redemptions, and dependencies and constraints, where we have to define the assumptions. Our own assumptions will be there, right? What are the few assumptions? Tell me. What are the few assumptions? See, these are the assumptions. Okay. If you are working on automation project or testing project, these are the basic assumptions. Development of each package and module is completed as per schedule and delivered. Okay. This is assumption. Second assumption is separate test environment to on-site and offshore team available to access application for this. Okay. Separate a communication mechanism is established between IT vendor and on-site team. Right. Baseline automation scope is not modified. Okay. Test management tool or defect management tool is installed and operational. Nothing else. See, before going to test the application, what is required? All those things are assumptions. All those things are assumptions. For example, you are start testing the application. Before going to start the application, what do you have to do? First of all, you have to manage your test artifacts. What are the test artifacts? Can you tell me what are the test artifacts comes under testing? Who can answer this question? Test artifacts. Tell me, what are the test artifacts we generate? Yeah, quickly. What are the test artifacts we can generate? Yeah. Yeah. XRD is a test artifact because it acts as an input to the test scenario. Okay. This is also called actually use cases. So test scenario is another artifact, and then based on the test scenario, we generate a test cases. We generate a test cases. Test case is a artifact. Okay, test case is an artifact. Okay, after generating a test cases, what we do actually defects. We basically log so many defects. So defects is an artifact. Based on the defects, we prepare a test closure document. Test closure. Okay. So these are the test artifacts. Okay, we raise so many defects. We create so many test cases. We also derive so many test scenarios, and these test scenarios are derived from the SRD document. Everything is fine. But where we are going to manage these testing artifacts, these artifacts are documents are maintained by the test management tool. Test management tool like ALM, okay, and Teams, Central by MS, Microsoft, okay, and so on. Is it clear? Yeah. So before going to start the testing, what is required then? What is required? Before going to start testing, what is required? We required access to the ALM. That's what is the assumption is. Our assumption is test management tool or defect tracking tool is installed and operational. That is assumption. If it is not there, what do you have to do? Our testing activity get delayed. Okay. And then what is another assumption? Timely feedback of various deliveries to the customer. Okay. The test environment, QA environment are configured as per the testing schedule. Okay. Manual testing scripts and test data available on time. Okay. See, for automation testing, what is the input? Automation testing, to start automation testing, the input is manual test cases. Manual test cases are the inputs to the automation testing. That is the reason they have mentioned very clearly, since it is automation plan, right? The assumption is manual test scripts and test data available on time. Then only we can conduct our, or we can create our automation test scripts. Okay. All the queries raised during the test planning and execution are resolved immediately. Immediate attention to showstopper defects by the development team for its fixing, right? I will explain what is this step under assumption. These are very, very important. Once you reach 3 years or 4 years of experience in testing, you directly involve in test plan. Okay. If you are fresher, they won't give this kind of task. 0. Okay, 0 to 2 years you are a tester. Okay, tester. Okay. Then 2 to 3, they start involved in all test management activities. Okay, and we know, right? Not 2 to 3, 2 till 4. 4. Okay, then you will become a test lead. 4 and above, you'll become test lead. So you are responsible to create all the test plans. Why? Because by that time you have a very good knowledge on testing. You can able to create a test plan and test strategy and test approach. Okay. See, the thing is here, immediate attention to showstopper defects by the development. What is showstopper? How many type of defects are there? When I start discussing about defects, I will explain. Currently, what is showstopper? That I'm going to explain. Showstopper. What is showstopper? See, the development team is start developing the code. Suddenly, somehow they missed a defect where the defect is causing obstacle to continue testing activities. Okay, that means unless the development team fix the defect, we can't continue our testing activities. Such type of defects or issues are called as a showstopper. Is it clear? Showstopper means what? Our show got stopped. That means there is obstacle or the defect that is causing, okay, that is causing an issue, which as a testing team cannot carry our testing activities. Such kind of defects are called actually showstopper. Okay, so today we are going to start the testing. Okay, development team has given their build to QA team and QA team has installed it early hours of the morning. We have to start testing our application. Once you start testing our application, suddenly we found that there is a showstopper. That means we can't continue our testing. Okay, what you have to do? We can't wait for another 15 days. Immediately we reject the build. Okay, the call actually reject the build. And then build goes to next level saying that the development team immediately have to fix the showstopper defects. And they will add patch to the existing build. Okay, and the testing team again they have to reinstall the build and then they have to continue the testing activities. That is all about showstopper. Okay, so in case if there is any showstopper, immediate attention to showstopper by the development team is mandatory for fixing. That's what we are just assumption. Okay, that's what we have mentioned under assumption in a test plan. Manual test scripts are available. Okay, this we know already. And communication channel, this also we know. Then coming to dependencies, very, very important section, dependencies. Yeah. What are the dependencies we have? Tell me, under test plan, we do add a lot of dependencies. What are the dependencies we ideally add? Yeah. What are the dependencies we have? What are the dependencies? See, all these dependencies are dealing with the automation testing, not manual testing. That is for sure. Okay, because I have written it. Automation testing dependencies. Okay. See, for manual testing, automation testing, the first and foremost dependency is manual test cases. Okay. So manual test cases, test script, and navigation steps, all these things should be available and explained before automation starts. Okay, that's the first dependency. Second dependency, we should have a SME available to make automation team understand the functionality of the application. That is the second dependency. That means one business analyst should be available to help automation team. And third one is our customer will identify the authority responsible for signing off deliverables for each and every project phase. That is okay. There's a management dependency. And the customer will arrange for a basic infrastructure support for working in their premises. Okay, that means your client supposed to provide hardware, software, email access, secure IDs, and all necessary software and support to continue on the automation testing. And then the fourth one, automation test execution would depend on successful completion of bug fixes and stable application build. Very important dependency. The dependency here is application stability. If the application is stable enough, then only we can do automation testing. Okay. The next one is severe defects or the application defects which must be fixed to accept the code in a production. Okay. And the last one is time to fix a severe defect should not be more than 2 to 3 working days. That means if the defect which you have raised is severe, the development team should not take more than 2 to 3 working days. Okay. And the last one, if the time to fix a severe or critical is more than 2 to 3 working days, then the appropriate changes request should be required. That means it will impact the schedule. Hence, you have to incorporate those changes. Okay. Need for timely builds, you have to build the things on time. So that is all about the dependencies and assumptions of the testing. Then very important section is the risk and mitigation plan. Okay. Nothing actually. Risk and mitigation plan means, see, in the plan always we define we don't foresee all the risks involved, right? See, next month we are going to start the testing. Okay, not yet started. Currently we got a SRS document or a SRD documents. We have started reading the documentation, but the testing is going to be take place from next month, and it's a 4 months activity. That means after completing the testing, we are going to deliver the product to the client. So testing will be carried for 4 months. During 4 months, you may have a different type of risks. First risk, if you look at the first risk here, connectivity. Got it, right? If you are not able to connect the application, what happened? It has a huge impact on the project. So what is the impact? Impact is delayed start, priority is high. What is the resolution? The resolution is connectivity should be established before starting the testing phases. So before going to the starting the testing cycle itself, we have to take care of all the connectivity issues. We have to close it. That's a connectivity. Okay. And the second risk is requirement changes. Yes, of course. If the requirements are constantly changing, it has a huge impact on our schedules and effort estimates. Then what you have to do as a vendor? I mean, here I mentioned Tech Mahindra. As a vendor, what you have to do? The customer should set up a process to get frequent updates on the changes. Okay. Then immediately the testing team should incorporate the changes then and there itself in a test pitch. And the third risk, what is the third is availability of manual test cases. This is especially for automation testing. If you don't have manual testing in place, automation testing get delayed. That's all. Okay. So schedule and effort variance again. Manual test script should be available before the automation timeline. And then availability of test data, of course, if the test data is available, then only we can carry out testing. What is test data? What is test data? This is an application. Okay. In this application, yeah, I'm going to take an application. This is an application. In this application, I want to enter username. Shall I take my own data and enter? You'll get an error. So that means that there is some data, predefined data. That data only works, otherwise it doesn't work. For the data, standard user is a username. Then who provides this data? Either client have to provide or test team have to create the test data. That's what it is talking all about. Okay. If the test data is available, then we don't have an issue. And if there are any issue with respect to availability of test data, our schedule and effort will be impacted. Okay, got it. Correct, right? Schedule, because we already schedule. We have during creating a test plan, we already created a schedule. Schedule means what is started, what is the end date of each and every activity of the testing. Effort also we measured. Correct, for creating a test case. Okay, we have assumed some 20 working days. 4 resources are working. If the test data is not available, what happened? automatically effort also will be varied. Effort estimates also will be impacted, correct? Effort estimation also done by the test manager, not as a tester. You never involve, because he only know with his own experience he will calculate efforts. Okay, clear? So schedule and effort estimates will be impacted. Test data should be available before testing automation starts. Clarification and turnaround time. If you have any doubt during testing or performing automation, if it is not clarified, then again it will have an impact on schedule and effort estimates. So customer should provide adequate time for the respective SMEs for providing a clarification. This is all about a risk and a mitigation plan in the test plan. Yes, are you clear? Okay, you can confidently answer all type of questions if they ask in interview time on a test plan now. Let me know if you still have any questions. Yeah. During testing, we also capture a lot of metrics. Okay, those metrics are especially when you are talking about automation. These are the metrics that deal with automation. Automation build status, automation execution status, defect status, automation ROI, productivity, test cycle reduction. Okay, these are the metrics, various metrics we follow. Automation build status, automation execution status, defect status, automation ROI, productivity, and a test cycle reduction. Hope you are clear now. Okay, so we can ask this question, why we need to capture these metrics, sir? See, automation build status will give the overall idea of whether the builds are scheduled on time or not. Okay, how many builds are successful, how many builds are failed. Those details we can capture from the automation build status. Okay, and then automation execution status. Okay, by using the second matrix, we can come to know how far we have covered. Okay, what is the status of the execution? And then defect status. By using this matrix, we can come to know how many defects are closed, how many defects are open, how many defects are still pending. Okay, very important matrix is return on investments. ROI, automation ROI, automation ROI. What is return on investment? Who can answer? Return on investment. What it means? Yeah, what it means? Who can answer? Purva, Bharat, Josna, Nilima, Swapna, Venkat. Return on investment ante ఏంటి అసలు? What is the return on investment? What is return on investment? We are going to plan. We are planning to buy a bike. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Josna.
Maybe profits, sir. Something we
Okay.
Like a client budget is something, and after the result, maybe like that.
Right. See, we have children. Okay, we need to drop them at the school every day, right? The school is a bit far away from your house, a bit far. Okay, there is the distance of around some 8 kilometers or 7 kilometers is there. Okay, distance. Okay, so currently we are sending children on public transport. Public transport, or school is providing a transport bus. Okay, every month they are charging 3,000. Okay, so you are going to buy a bike or scooty, okay, to drop and pick him from the school. Okay, so if you buy a scooty or a bike, you need to invest at least 75 to 80,000. Okay, so what is the return on investment? That means when we are going to get the returns on the investment you made on the bike.
Product.
That is all about return on investment. That means daily, if you are going to send giving 3,000 every month, 12 into 3, 36, right? So 36 means 36 into 4 years. Okay, just assume 4 years. Okay, So 36 into 4 means 1 point, okay, 3 years. Not 3 years actually, 2.5 years. Okay. So that means you will get your investment you have invested that will be returned to you only after 2.5 years or 3 years. That means whatever you are going to do after 2.5 years, that is a profit for you, because whatever the investment we made on the bike, that you already returned. I mean, that amount get returned, right? Similarly, automation ROI also, you have to calculate return on investment. What it is a return on investment? Initial investment is very high for automation also. Okay, when I have prepared this plan, we were using QTP. Okay, QTP. Okay, QTP is a quick test pro tool. It is a licensed tool. You have to see at that time is very costly, you know. QTP tool cost is actually 6 lakhs in Indian rupees for single license. If you want to use a concurrent license of 4 people, they will charge 30 lakhs. Okay. On top of it, you have to pay annual maintenance charges, AMC. All these things include, okay, your return on investment, okay, may get only after 3 years. That means that what you call threshold period, a throughput period, will get only after 3 years. Okay. This is what we capture during the automation ROI. Okay, we have to convey to the client that whatever you are getting after 3rd year, that is a profit for you. Okay, if you are getting a return on investment within 2 years, that is actually very good candidate for automation testing. That means we suggest basically you can go ahead with automation. Anyway, that is not okay for freshers, okay, like 0 or 2 years experience guys. Only manager people will calculate all automation ROI and all. Okay, so basically why I'm going to stress on this metric. These are the metrics. It will showcase your work to the client basically. Client will come to know the status of the project through automation metrics. Yeah, automation metrics. I think that's it. Yeah, these are the deliverables we do. We deliver to the client at the end. Under manual testing, we deliver test plan, test strategy, test cases, test scenario, test execution logs, defect logs, and manual testing metrics. And comes to automation, we also provide a POC, automation feasibility report, automation test plan, test scripts, test logs, automation metrics, and a automation manual. Okay. So these are the deliverables we deliver to the client at the end of the project. Okay. So this is all about test plan here. Just let me know if you have any questions. Very simple. Total 6 phases are there in STLC: requirement analysis, test plan, test case design, and so on. Currently, we are discussing about test planning. Test planning that deals with the strategy and approach of the testing. Under strategy and approach, these are the various sections. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. All clear? If you are clear, then we'll wind up the session for today. If you have any questions, just let me know. We'll discuss.